The Gettier Problem and its effect on the definition of knowledge. The Gettier Problem became a philosophical concept after Edmund Gettier published his paper Is Justified True Belief Knowledge in 1963. The question that the Gettier Problem raises has to do with propositional knowledge and how epistemologists define the presence of knowledge. Before Gettier's paper, the widely accepted definition of knowledge was displayed to the justified true belief form. This had knowledge defined as a combination of truth, belief, and justification. However, Gettier created a set of problems called Gettier cases that worked to disprove the JTB form and argue that there is another stipulation that must be added to truly define knowledge. His line of reasoning was heavily supported by epistemic luck, which was used to prove that being justified, being true, and fully believing something does not constitute it as having knowledge. This epistemic luck becomes the prominent antagonist of the JTB theorem. Gettier's paper serves to embed the notion that you cannot have knowledge if your belief is only true by luck. In Gettier's first case, he explains how a man named Smith is going for a job interview with another man named Jones, and that through some outside knowledge, Smith knows that Jones will get the job and that Jones has 10 coins in his pocket. From this information, Smith deduces that the person with 10 coins in their pocket will get the job. However, through some outside luck, Smith also has 10 coins in his pocket, and he ends up getting the job. While Smith believes the person with 10 coins will get the job, and he is justified in his belief because of his outside knowledge, his belief is only rendered correct by a random stroke of luck, that he happens to have 10 coins in his pocket as well. Therefore, Gettier deduces the JTB theorem can only stand to define knowledge if it is fixed in some way. While the seemingly obvious idea would be to amend it to be anti-luck, it's not that simple. While Gettier may have been the namesake behind the concept, his paper inspired many philosophers and created an influx of epistemic articles based on his paper. There have been many developments in these cases, and philosophers have expanded into many alternate versions of the original Gettier cases. Some such cases that work to prove Gettier's paper as true are The Sheep in the Field by Chisholm, The Pyromaniac by Skirms, and The Fake Barns by Goldman. Looking at The Fake Barns by Goldman, he sets up a case in which a man is driving through the countryside and spots what appears to be a barn. While this man believes it to be a barn, is justified in his belief because it looks like other barns he has seen, and it is in fact a barn, he is only correct based on luck. What this man did not know is that this area has many fake barns set up along the side of the road, and the one that he is looking at just happens to be a real one. So he is only deemed correct based on luck of the draw. This specific example really outlines some heavy questions about the definition of knowledge in a philosophical sense. Would his belief be considered knowledge because he has accurately assessed the barn to be real? Or would he be rendered unknowledgeable because most of the barns along this road were fake and he just got lucky to be viewing a real barn? These expansions and the original Gettier cases have done nothing but expand the importance of the Gettier problem and brought more attention to this epistemological concept. While the exponential number of papers written on the subject would imply a possibility for a solution to the Gettier problem, there has been no agreement on how to solve the question. What seems to be an obvious choice as a patch for the JTB would be the eliminate luck proposal. This proposal seeks to weed out the epistemic luck that supports Gettier cases so much. As Unger said, a belief is not knowledge. If it is true, only courtesy of some relevant accident. By his account, Gettier cases such as the Pyromaniac and Case 2 should not even be considered knowledge because of the hefty amount of luck necessary for the beliefs to be true. Conversely, however, there's the problem of removing the aspect of luck altogether. It would be illogical to completely shun luck because of the infallibility it would cause. Thus, there are epistemologists who believe the problem is with too much luck, not just luck in general. This seemingly would solve the problem, but who is to say how much luck is considered too much? There are other epistemologists, however, who believe that the JTB form began on the right track and wish to simply amend it to solve the Gettier problem. Some favor the approach of expanding upon the justification condition to have it disqualify a case true by epistemic luck as being considered justified belief, while others favor the approach of adding a fourth condition to the JTB that would prevent Gettier cases from being applicable altogether. An attempt made to solve Gettier problems was made through the no false evidence proposal. This proposal introduces the query that if someone's justificatory support includes false information, would it still fall into the JTB form? Many philosophers, therefore, believe that the JTB form should be edited to include a stipulation that a belief will not be considered knowledge if it is reached through false information. The glaring flaw with this proposal, however, is that there are many Gettier cases that do not include any sort of false evidence. So this proposal does not solve the problem within every Gettier case. The overall question raised by the Gettier problem ultimately becomes, how do you define knowledge? One philosopher, Ernest Sosa, introduced the AAA evaluations, which were created to solve the Gettier problem. The point of this analysis was to create a certain non-logical relationship between truth and belief. Sosa's theorem poses three stipulations for something to be considered knowledge. The belief is accurate only if it is true, the belief is adroit only if it is produced skillfully, and the belief is apt only if it is true in a way related to the believer's skill. These stipulations were built in such a way to ensure that the relationship between truth and justification is not just merely coincidence. Sosa's explanation of this utilized the visualization of an archer taking a shot. Sosa proposed three questions relating to the AAA evaluations. Was the shot successful? Was the shot's execution a manifestation of the archer's skill? And did the shot's success manifest because of the archer's skill? Sosa attempts to explain how the archer's shot could have been diverted by a gust of wind, and then re-diverted back on track through a burst of luck. This would conclude that the shot to fulfill the accuracy stipulation, but not the manifestation of skill stipulation, because only by the luck of the wind did the shot reach its target. However, this is only helpful in cases that employ unlucky interference and lucky circumstance to build their Gettier problems. Thus, cases such as the fake barn are not as applicable to the AAA evaluation form. The Gettier problem is a wide-reaching, long-time philosophical question. Many epistemologists, such as Gettier, Goldman, Skirms, Sosa, and more, have introduced and dissected the issues with the JTB form, and there have been many attempts to amend its issues. While proposals such as the eliminate luck proposal, infallibility proposal, and the no false evidence proposal have raised important and prevalent issues within the JTB theorem, ultimately, if you wanted to find an answer, I believe a combination of proposals would have to be made. This could create more tension, however, because some proposals introduced have been made to dispute other proposals. However, so far, none have universally excelled at solving the Gettier problem. The main issue with attempting the Gettier problem often comes from our lack of outside awareness about our work. While many of these philosophers have built their own theorems on how to fix the JTB form, once others begin to consider and apply those theorems, holes are often found and explicated on. The obvious choice would be to create a network of philosophers dedicated to solving the Gettier problem, but even this does not address the true difficulty in the question presented by the Gettier problem. Is there one true answer to the problem we're trying to solve? Is it even possible to create an explanation everyone will accept about the definition of knowledge? Asking someone what it means to have knowledge is like asking someone what the meaning of life is. Sure, there may be an answer you have in mind, but that answer will not be the same for every person on this planet. In fact, the likelihood of you finding 1,000 other people who share the same answer as you are slim. While the definition of knowledge may feel like a more concrete ideology than the meaning of life, It is still a grueling task to take on.